Hello everyone, welcome to Clay Formations, where we create things odd, eerie, cute, and creepy, or anything else that falls out of my bizarre brain. So, if you want to see today's creation, just keep watching. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Today we're trying something new, Chavant NSFP Hard. This should be interesting. Let's see how it goes. But before we start sculpting, there are a few things we have to do, so let's start with the base. For some reason the cap on my Gorilla Glue always dries and I can't get anything out of it, so I just take off the lid and spread it on with a popsicle stick. Once you spread it out evenly, I take another piece of wood, place it on top of the square, making sure that all the sides are flush. Then I'll take a couple of clamps and clamp them together. While you're clamping it down, make sure that the edges of the circle are flush with the edge of the square. Now what we'll do is we'll just wait for it to dry. You might want to go get a drink while this dries. Just kidding. Let's cut these corners off. This will make it easier to sand into a circle. There we go. That should make it a little easier to sand. Now we'll square up my belt sander. And then you sand down the edges all the way to the edge of the circle. Then it kind of looks like one piece of wood. I'm not crazy about the way the bevel looks, so I'm going to sand it off at an angle. There we go. Now we'll drill a hole for the 1/4-inch pipe to go through. Now we'll start working on the armature. Oop, look who's back there. Look who's come to say hello. Here's Ringo. Now he's going to give you boops with his nose. And he says hello. And he says goodbye. Here, just let me cover that up for you. Okay, back to work. We'll make one more of these. And then we'll attach it together. There we go. Now we'll put some tin foil in it and we'll be ready to go. And Ringo's gonna go find some treats. Now we'll add the first layer of Chavant. I primarily work in Sculpey, and using Chavant was quite the learning curve. First, it has to be warm enough to be pliable. And I had a hard time getting it to be the right consistency without burning my fingers, because I burnt my fingers a lot. If the Chavant becomes somewhat liquid, it will literally stick to your fingers and it won't come off, and it keeps burning. While I was working with it, when it got to the right consistency, I found that it hardened up really fast. It doesn't stay pliable for very long. You really have to work fast with it. And despite having to learn a new way of sculpting, I really did enjoy working with this material. Carve out the eye sockets for the eyes, and I made those out of Sculpey. It's just a lot easier for me to do it that way. I really wasn't sure how this was going to work, if I was going to be able to paint them afterwards, or if the Chavant clay would melt the Sculpey. I had no idea how they were going to interact, but it did work well. Right here, I'm just trying to refine things a little bit, trying to get my bearings on how things work and how the clay reacts with the tools. Does anybody else's nose itch when they see this? Mine does. I know, I'm weird. Now here's the part I like best about Chavant. You really don't need an armature for everything. You can just add pieces of clay on as you go and just keep on going. It's literally stable enough to hold its own. The disappointing part about this is all the work I'm doing here, about 80% of it's covered up with hair. But as I've heard other sculptors say, you have to sculpt everything underneath, otherwise what's on top will not look right. So I'll just go with that. Just adding a few more refinements, and then we will add the top part of her gown. And now we'll come to the part that I really wanted to see if I can do, and that's sculpting the hair. This is what I love about Chavant. I can just add to the clay and not have to worry about an armature being underneath it. On the other hand, I really have no clue what I'm doing here, and I'm just putting the clay on willy-nilly, not really knowing how this is going to turn out. There comes a time in every project where you just have to tell yourself, trust the process, and just keep going. Right here is where I try to just stop working on the entire sculpture and just focus on one area of her hair to see if I could actually get it to look finished. Okay, so I know I can get the hair to look finished and refined and detailed. Now I can just go ahead and work on the rest of the hair. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you something that you might not know that you can do with Chavant, and you may find it interesting, so stick with me. It's actually starting to look a little bit like hair. Alright, I think that looks satisfactory. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a mess to clean up. We'll get back to the Dark Maiden in just a second. So if you'll indulge me for just a few moments, I'm going to clean up my mess here. It must be said, I really know how to make a big mess out of things. Unfortunately for me, it seems like I can't continue on with a project until I clean one part up. Nice and clean, just the way I like it. Now to put away all my tools. Do you guys think I have enough tools? I'm not sure if I have enough tools. Let me know in the comments if you guys think I have too many tools. What I did find out is Chavant clay gets everywhere, all over your tools, all over your table, so you've got to clean everything up before you go on to the next part. and the Dark Maiden is ready to paint. Yes, you heard me right. You can actually paint Shavant. The only difference is it's not as durable as Sculpey, and you have to keep it in a cool, dry place. Otherwise, it still will melt. Dude, you think you got enough paintbrushes there? Yep, I guess so. Okay, here we go. And of course, if you're using a lighter color, you'll have to do several coats, as you can see. I do have to say, Shavant takes paint very well. Hard getting into these little crevices and tight areas. Now we'll paint the base before we continue. Now we'll paint the eyes. Very tedious and difficult part. The eye dot's coming up in a second here. Oh, I did it. Whew. And as much as I wanted to show you, I did the second one off camera. I didn't want to take any chances. I forgot to sculpt the eyebrows, so I'll have to paint them on now. Now we'll add some shadows and highlights with some pastels. Now I'll add some purple eyeshadow on, and as you can see, I have no idea how to do it. Now I'll add some highlights to the hair, which basically turned all the hair gray, and I'll have to add some darker paint into the recessed areas to give it some more depth. There we go. Darker paint in the recessed areas will bring the highlights out a little more. We'll add some black around her lids and gloss on her eyes. Hey everyone, thank you for watching my video. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And if you think I deserve it, give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. And up there in the right hand corner you can see another video of mine called The Crazy 8 Ball. If you'd like to see that, give that video a click. And as always, a big thank you to my subscribers. I really appreciate your support. Take care, and we'll see you next time.